It's time for my February new releases video. I post these new releases videos every single month, normally by or around the first Tuesday of every single month because that's the first release day in the US. US publishers release books on a Tuesday, UK publishers tend to release on a Thursday unless it's a really hyped release and then they have to do it on the same day because otherwise it's very unfair to us readers. I really enjoy doing these new releases videos. They are a lot of work, but I do really enjoy bringing new books to your attention and also trying to figure out my own monthly TBR from them and trying to figure out which books I personally want to read. Before I get started, I just wanted to share that I've actually been wondering whether you guys would be interested in an even more comprehensive new releases video in which I list even more books. Normally in these I tend to have like between 20 and 40 books to talk about, but maybe I could do even more. And I also could talk about them a little bit more in depth and also give you the actual release dates and put everything in order because at the moment I don't really do that. Talk about them chronologically and just go into a bit more depth. And I've been thinking about maybe doing that as a membership video for channel members. I don't have any channel members at the moment. It's not something that I've started, but that's just something that I've been considering because I'm doing this video anyway and I do a lot more research than I'm able to just put into this video because I need to keep this one quite short. But let me know if that's something that you would be interested in, if there's anything else you'd like me to include in a new releases video if you are paying for it. Yeah, just something that I've been thinking about. Let me know in the comments. And if you don't want to comment on that, that's fine. Just tell me what your most anticipated release for February is. Without further ado, let's get on with the books. Let me just scoot over so I've got some space. I'm going to be talking about these in order of popularity today. These are the most shelved new releases. First of all, we have The Women by Kristen Hanna. This is her newest historical release. I really enjoy Kristen Hanna's books. I have rated almost all of them 4 stars or 5 stars, I think. This one is set in 1965 and it follows a nursing student whose name is Frankie. She is raised by conservative parents in Southern California and then her brother is shipped off to Vietnam to go to war. She decides that her only option is to join the army as a nurse, and so she follows him. It says here, as green and inexperienced as the men sent to Vietnam to fight, Frankie is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of war. Each day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant. In war, she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. The Women is the story of one woman gone to war, but it shines a light on all women who put themselves in harm's way and whose sacrifice and commitment to their country has too often been forgotten. Like I said, I really enjoy Kristen Hanna's writing. I do wonder if this one's going to be a bit too patriotic to the US to be properly for me, but we'll see when I get to it. I'm hoping to get to this one soon. Then we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which is her first paranormal romance, I think. This one is about vampires and werewolves, which I think is really fun. It says here it's about a dangerous alliance between a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf, which becomes a love deep enough to sink your teeth into in this new paranormal romance. The only thing that's putting me off slightly is that the main character is called Misery, and I'm just kind of like, why? I think it's probably one that I would eat up though, so I'm looking forward to reading it. A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This one is a fantasy book. I've got this one from NetGalley, but I haven't read it yet because I really want to read her other books first. I didn't realise that when I requested it. This one is about a shield maiden who is blessed by the gods. It says here that she is battling to reunite a nation, which is currently under a power-hungry king. And it says here she also fancies his fiery son. So there's probably a bit of forbidden love in here. It's basically a Norse-inspired fantasy romance, which I really like the sound of. A Tempest of Tea. This one is by the author of We Hunt the Flame. It's the first book in a duology, and this one is also about vampires. I feel like they're making a comeback. It says here that it's about an orphan girl and her crew who gets tangled in a heist with vampires, perfect for fans of Six of Crows. I'm not a massive fan of Six of Crows. I don't hate it. I'm just not a massive fan, but I'm hoping to really enjoy this one. The Book of Doors, and what caught my eye about this one was the tagline, if you could open a door to anywhere, where would you go? I really enjoy portal fantasy and time travel stuff. I don't think this will necessarily be time travel, but I'm hoping that it's going to be portal fantasy, and that sounds really cool. It says here that it follows a bookseller called Cassie, who is living an unassuming life when she is given a gift by a favourite customer. It's a book, a really unusual one, full of strange writing and mysterious drawings. And at the very front there is a handwritten message to Cassie telling her that it's the Book of Doors and that any door is every door. The Book of Doors is not the only magical book in the world. There are other books that can do wondrous and dreadful things when wielded by dangerous and ruthless individuals. Individuals who crave what Cassie now possesses. I think this one sounds so interesting and I've not heard much about it on the internet, so I'm surprised this one has so many shelves on Goodreads. I wonder if this author is popular. The Phoenix Crown. This one is set around the time of the San Francisco earthquake. It says here that San Francisco is a city bustling with newly minted millionaires and scheming upstarts. There are 2 very different women hoping to change their fortunes. Their paths cross and they are drawn into the orbit of a guy called Henry Thornton. He offers the 2 women the chance of a lifetime, but their lives are thrown into turmoil when a devastating earthquake rips San Francisco apart and he disappears. Love the sound of this one. I am really into historical fiction at the moment. I'm not reading loads of it, but I'm definitely buying loads of it. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one is a new book in his new fantasy series. To be honest, I don't know loads about it, so let's discover this together. It says here that in a mansion, an Imperial officer lies dead, killed, but when a tree spontaneously erupted from his body. The blood of the Leviathans worked strange magical changes, and that seems to be what happened to this guy. A main character called Anna is called in to investigate the mystery. She's also got an assistant called Dinius, or just Din, and he has a perfect memory. As the two close in on a mastermind and uncover a scheme that threatens the safety of the Empire, Din realises he's only begun to assemble the puzzle that is Anna, and wonders how long he'll be able to keep his own secrets safe from her piercing intellect. It says here something about being likened to Holmes and Watson. So I think this will be a fun mystery fantasy book. Warm Hands of Ghosts. This one is set during the Great War and is about a combat nurse. I don't really know much else about it, but like I said, I'm really getting into historical fiction. I don't really tend to read much about World War I and II, but if I do want to, then I will be picking this one up. The Guest by B.A. Paris. This is a new psychological thriller by them. I don't really read synopses for thrillers, but just to give you a brief overview, this one is about two rich people who have a massive home in the British countryside and a daughter who's working in Greece. Also some good friends from Paris. Young man is involved in a tragic accident in a nearby quarry, and the husband is the one to find him. There's something about trauma and a guilty burden and stuff, and fractured relationships and secrets. So sounds like your typical thriller, but I'm looking forward to eventually picking this one up. A love song for Ricky Wilde. It says that this is an epic love story 100 years in the making. Leap years are a strange, enchanted time, and for some, even a single February can be life-changing. I love that this is set in February. It sounds like this is a love story about two passionate artists who are drawn to magic and romance and all of that. An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This is a dark academia book. I think it follows two rivals, and it says here that the main character must confront her own strange hungers, and I do wonder what that means. Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. I think this is the follow-up to There, which I recently got out from the library. But it doesn't say it's a direct sequel, it just seems to follow similar characters. It says here that Wandering Stars traces the legacies of the Sand Creek Massacre of 1864 and the Carlisle Indian Industrial School through to the shattering aftermath of something that happens in There. And I believe There is like multi-generational fiction. And I think this sounds like a similar thing. So I do have this one from NetGalley. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I just need to read There first. Law of the Wilds, which is a romantasy debut. This one is about an enchanted library, and that's honestly all I really need to know. Just to give you more of an idea, that it also says there is fae and chemistry which ignites. Which is all you want from a fantasy book. Heartless Hunter. This is a new book by the author of another fantasy series, which I'm forgetting the name of, The Last Namzara. I really enjoyed that one, so I'm looking forward to reading this. It says here that it's a steamy game of cat and mouse between witch and witch hunter played out against a backdrop of opulent secrets and bloody history. It's a thrilling start to a romantic fantasy duology, where the only thing more treacherous than being a witch is falling in love. The Catch is coming out in February, and this is the third book in this author's influencer series. This one follows a fashion influencer this time. I've only read the first book in this series, but I do kind of want to read it when I'm in the mood for a light romance book. It says here that there's hiking and campfire chats, boating accidents and unconsciousness. So I'm looking forward to reading this when I'm in the mood. My Side of the River. This one sounds so good. This is a memoir in which the author is talking about her experiences as a US-born daughter of immigrants and what happened when the author was 15 and her parents were forced to go back to Mexico. I love the sound of this one. I can't wait to get to it. I think I might try and read it as an audiobook rather than a physical copy. It's probably going to make me so angry though. When Grumpy Met Sunshine. This is another romance book which I don't think has a really complicated plot. I imagine you can tell what it's about from the title. It says it's an opposites attract romance, undeniable chemistry, a grumpy retired footballer and his fabulous and very sunshiny ghostwriter. What Feasts at Night. This is the second book in this novella duology by T. Kingfisher, or maybe not a duology, a series perhaps. It's the follow-up to What Moves the Dead. The Fox Wife. It says here that The Fox Wife is a stunning novel about a winter full of mysterious deaths, a mother seeking revenge, and old folk tales which may very well be true. It says a family owns a famous Chinese medicine shop that can cure ailments, but not the curse that affects them. The eldest sons die before their 24th birthdays. Now the only grandson of the family is 23. A mysterious woman enters the household and their luck seems to change, or does it? And then it mentions also fox spirits, which is very intriguing. In Ascension, which I have been seeing everywhere. It says here that it's about a young microbiologist investigating an unfathomable, can't say that word, deep event in the ocean floor, leading her on a journey that will encompass the full trajectory of the cosmos and the passage of a single human life. This one sounds really interesting, and the main character, it says, was born in Rotterdam, which is very interesting. She was drawn to the waterfront to escape an unhappy home. She was enchanted by the undersea world of her childhood and excels in marine biology. I'm very intrigued by this one, very, very intrigued. Night Watching, this is a thriller book. This is about a mother who is forced to breaking point when her children are threatened by an intruder. So I think this sounds like a home invasion story, which I haven't really read much, but that is my favourite kind of horror film because it's something that really does scare me. The Hidden Life of Cecilia Larsen. This is set in 1924. So in 1924, Cecily was 4 years old and she was dropped at an orphanage. Her mum promises to come back once she has made enough money to support them both, and then she never does. And then in 2015, Cecily is living in Minnesota with her daughter and some grandchildren, and then her family surprise her with a DNA test, and they all receive some unexpected results. I am really into multi-generational stories and also into genealogy, so I really love the sound of this one. I really love the idea of following someone's life from the 20s up until present day, and also with a bit of family drama thrown in there. The Fortune Seller. This seems to be a story about two women who have a very difficult sort of friendship. One of them is super mysterious and the other is rich, and the rich one is looking into the mysterious one. It's that kind of trope. So I might pick this one up. It's not top of my list, but it sounds interesting. Son of Blood and Ruin. This one doesn't have the best rating on Goodreads, but I'm still kind of intrigued. It says here that rumour has it on the streets of 16th century New Spain, there's a new vigilante in town serving justice. This reimagining of Zorro, featuring a heroic warrior sorceress, weaves Mesoamerican mythology and Mexican history 2 decades after the Spanish conquest into a swashbuckling historical debut fantasy with magic, intrigue, treachery, and romance. I think it sounds quite good. I don't know much about it, but I'm definitely intrigued. Island Witch, which is a fantasy book inspired by Sri Lankan folklore, which is something that I've not really read much about. I think this one sounds really good. It says that it's kind of gothic and is based in the late 19th century in Sri Lanka. The daughter of a traditional demon priest tries to solve the mysterious attacks that have been terrorizing her coastal village, so it's a bit of a mystery thrown in there as well, which I really enjoy. The Stranger in Her House by John Mars. It says here that this guy called Paul is just here to help and do odd jobs and stuff for this widow called Gwen. Gwen's daughter Connie thinks there's something weird about Paul because this does sound quite dodge. It says here that the more Paul visits, the more Gwen is relying on him. By the time he conveniently finds himself between homes, Connie is certain that he's trying to push Connie out completely. It's her word against his, and then things spiral rapidly out of control. I think this one may be a little bit triggering for me personally because of my very personal circumstances I don't want to talk about. So I'm a bit hesitant to pick it up, but it does sound quite creepy and intriguing and a bit like the home invasion vibe. The Things We Didn't Know. This is a debut novel set in Puerto Rico in the 1950s. It says here that Andrea is 9 years old when her mother whisks her and her brother away from the tiny Massachusetts factory town and leaves them in a mountainside village in Puerto Rico and then promises to return. Months later, she returns and they find that their home life has significantly changed. Very interested in this one. It sounds a little bit mysterious, but I think that's just the description, not trying to give the whole book away. Where the Dark Stands Still. This one is about a girl who grew up near the Spirit Wood, and she knows that magic is monstrous, as are its users. She is caught by a demon warden of the wood, who then offers her a bargain, which is 1 year of servitude in exchange for 1 wish. Those who enter the wood do not always return. Piglet, and I'm not sure I really want to read this one, but I have seen it around everywhere, so I'm kind of intrigued. I really like the UK cover. I like the pink, to be honest. I think this one might be quite a challenging read because it does seem to deal with the main character's eating disorder or eating habits, maybe. It says here that it's an examination of women's sometimes complicated relationship with food and a celebration of the messes life sometimes makes for us. Infinity Alchemist is the first in the series as well. This is about 3 alchemists who go on their journey towards unexpected love and unimaginable power. I've read one book by this author before and I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to picking this one up. Under the Storm. This one is set in rural Sweden. It says here that on a cold November night, a farmhouse burns to the ground. Inside, a young woman is found dead, murdered. The police immediately focus their attention on Edvard, the boyfriend of the murdered young woman. He is found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, and then the nephew is looking to prove his uncle innocent. The American Daughters. This one is a historical book. It says that it's a gripping historical novel about a spirited young girl who joins a sisterhood of black women working together to undermine the Confederates, from the award-winning author of We Cast a Shadow. I've not read that book, but this one does sound intriguing. I think this is going to cover a lot of female friendships and relationships. The Other Valley. It says that this one is a speculative book. It says here that this town is really isolated and it's neighboured by its own past and future. The main character is 16 years old. She's awkward and quiet. This town has heavily guarded borders. On the other side, there's a valley with the same town town, but the other town is 20 years ahead in time. This one sounds so good and so interesting, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I definitely want to get my hands on it. Kindling, this is another fantasy book. It says here that it's set in a war-ravaged world where kindling warfare, the use of elite magic-wielding teenage soldiers, has been outlawed. That's probably for the best. In this novel, 7 kindlings search for purpose and identity as they prepare for one final battle. It's a standalone. I think it sounds really good. The Real Deal, this one is about reality TV stars and I think childhood stars as well. I really enjoy books about famous people, so I think I'll like this one. The Eternal Ones, this is the 3rd book in this trilogy, which starts with the Gilded Ones. I've only read the 1st book and I do want to finish the trilogy, I think, but I've not heard the best things about the 2nd. If I do get to this one, it will probably be when I find the rest of the series in a charity shop. Compass and Blade, it says here that this is set on a remote isle where the main character Mira is a wrecker, one of the 7 on the rope who swim out to the shipwrecks to plunder them. Mira's job is to rescue any survivors. Council Watch lays a trap to put an end to the wrecking. They arrest Mira's father. Desperate to save him from the noose, Mira strikes a deal. With just 9 days to find what she needs to rescue her father, all Mira knows for certain is this: the sea gives, the sea takes, and it's up to her to do what she must to save the ones that she loves. Medea, this one is about the Greek sorceress from mythology. I'm not entirely sick of Greek mythology retellings yet, but I haven't really read many recently, so if I do want to read one, I might get to this. A Step Past Darkness is another thriller book. The tagline says 6 classmates, 1 terrifying night, a murder 20 years in the making. Sounds fun. Leave No Trace. This is the 1st book in the National Parks thriller series, and it seems to be a crime book, which I don't really love reading, but because it's set in the national parks, I think that intrigues me. I really like the idea of that, especially because I really enjoy like walking and hiking through parks and stuff. I think the setting is what's intriguing me here. It says something about like a terrorist group and shadowy figures and stuff, so I'm not sure I'll love it. The setting, again, is intriguing to me. Forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's Neferura, which is the tale of the forgotten daughter of a legendary Egyptian pharaoh and the path she must take to escape her own dangerous fate. I've not really read many books set in ancient Egypt, if any, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. And then finally we have The Blueprint, and this one says that it's a harrowing novel set in an alternative United States, a world of injustice bondage in which a young black woman becomes the concubine of a powerful white government official. It says here things about a diary, choice no longer existing, an algorithm determining a black woman's occupation, spouse and residence. So I think this could be quite a difficult read, but I hope it's going to be good. And I think that's it. I don't know how many books that was. There are of course still more that I could talk about, but I don't want it to go on forever. That's why I'm considering doing a paid video each month in addition to this one, where I can go into more detail and again talk about the books in order. So let me know, like I said, if you think that that would be something that you would be keen for. Even if just a couple of people want it, then I'm more than happy to do it. I wouldn't charge very much for it. It's just, it would take a lot of effort. This video itself has already taken like 2 hours of my time. So if I did something longer and more in depth, then I'd definitely want to charge for it, just not loads, because there's no need. This is helping me out as well. Let me know what you think. And again, like I said, let me know what your most anticipated releases for February are. Thank you so much for watching. I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye.